The stars shined like diamonds in the cold black sky as the Terran Republic's diplomatic ship, Unity's Reach, approached the glowing moon of Varellon IV. Inside the ship stood Commander Jack Halstead, a decorated war hero turned ambassador. He wore a sharp navy blue uniform, polished boots, and a calm, serious expression. Jack had been in many battles. He had faced enemies, disasters, and near-death situations. But nothing could have prepared him for this. Peace talks with the Netherian Empire. The Netherians were tall, graceful beings with pale skin that shimmered like pearls and glowing marks that pulsed softly in different colors. They were advanced, powerful, and very serious about tradition. For centuries, they avoided contact with humans. But now, for the first time, both sides agreed to a meeting. Jack stepped off the ship and into the great silver hall of the moon's embassy station. Music played gently in the air, and golden banners waved from high ceilings. At the far end of the room stood the Netherian royal family. In the center was Princess Virel, the heir to the throne. Virel was striking, even by Netherian standards. Her long white hair flowed like water, and her soft violet eyes watched Jack with curiosity. She stepped forward, tall and elegant, holding a crystal goblet filled with glowing liquid. "You are Jack Halstead of Earth?" she asked, her voice calm and clear. "I am," Jack replied with a respectful nod. "And you must be Princess Virel." She smiled slightly. "Today we mark a new era, a bond between your people and mine." Jack raised his hand in peace. "That's why I'm here, to talk, to listen, and to build something better." Virel raised her goblet. "In Netherian tradition, such a bond is not sealed with words, it is sealed with unity." Jack tilted his head. "What do you mean?" Before he could ask more, she stepped closer and placed her hand gently on his chest. Her glowing fingers lit up as she spoke. "I, Virel of Netheria, offer you the sacred right of alliance through royal bond." The room fell completely silent. Jack blinked. Was she proposing marriage? Back on Earth, royal marriages didn't mean much. But here, every Netherian stared at him, waiting. Jack remembered his briefing. A royal bond was a symbol, powerful and serious. But he also remembered the plan: build trust, bridge cultures, and avoid offending their traditions. So he smiled, placed his hand over hers, and said, "I accept." For a moment there was only silence. Then a wave of whispers broke out across the hall. Suddenly the doors slammed open with a loud thud. A second Netherian woman stormed into the room. She wore armor instead of a royal dress, her silver cape whipping behind her. Her eyes blazed with fire and her voice rang like thunder. "Human, you can't just marry me." Everyone turned. Jack froze. The woman pointed a glowing spear at him and marched forward. "My sister demands that you take me as well." Princess Virel stepped back, clearly surprised. "Talixa, what are you doing?" The warrior turned to her. "You know the law? If the heir forms a bond with an outsider, the second-born must be included or the bloodline is split." Jack blinked again. "Wait, who is she?" Virel sighed. "This is General Talixa, my younger sister." Talixa frowned. "And I'm not going to let a Terran ruin our empire because he doesn't know our customs." Jack looked between the two sisters. "I just agreed to peace. I didn't know this was a package deal." The room buzzed with voices again. One of the Netherian advisors, a gray-skinned elder with glowing blue lines on his face, stepped forward. "According to the Scrolls of Union, she is correct. If the heir chooses a bondmate, the second-born must also be offered, or the alliance is invalid." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Offered? Like, I have to marry both?" The elder nodded. "Correct. Refusal of one would be a political insult. Acceptance of one and not the other would break the right." Jack ran a hand through his hair. This wasn't in the manual. Back on Earth, he was trained for many things: alien languages, diplomacy, war. But this was new. Thalixa crossed her arms. "I'm not happy about this either, Terran. If you want peace, you'll have to earn it." Virel gave her sister a tired look. "Thalixa, please, you're scaring him." "I'm not scared," Jack said quickly, "just confused." Thalixa smirked. "Good, you'll need to think fast if you want to survive our court." Varel turned to Jack. You've stepped into more than you expected, I know, but this can still work. You've already shown great honor by accepting. Jack gave a slow nod. All right, I didn't come here to run away. If this is your way of sealing peace, then I'll do it. But I need to understand everything. Thalixa narrowed her eyes. Then we begin the trials tomorrow. Trials? Jack asked. She smiled, but it wasn't friendly. Yes, if I must accept a human as bondmate, then I must test him first. It's our way. Varel sighed. Don't hurt him too much. No promises, Thalixa said with a grin. That night, Jack stood alone on the balcony of the guest quarters, looking at the stars. He had come to stop a war. Instead, he had accepted a royal proposal, insulted a general, and now had to pass alien trials to marry two sisters and save a galaxy. He smiled to himself. Just another Tuesday in the Terran Republic? Far above, the twin moons of Varellan glowed gently, two lights side by side, just like the sisters, and Jack had a feeling this was only the beginning. The Netherian moon spun slowly in the dark sky as Unity's reach lifted off. But Jack Halstead wasn't heading back to Earth, not yet. Instead, he sat inside the Netherian royal flagship, Radiant Flame, traveling toward the Empire's capital. World. Netheria Prime, he sat between two powerful sisters, Princess Varel on his left, calm and composed, and General Thalixa on his right. Arms crossed and eyes sharp like daggers. Jack had accepted an ancient proposal without knowing its full meaning. Now, Netherian law demanded he bond with both royal sisters or risk starting a diplomatic disaster, and worse. Thalixa still didn't trust him. You are lucky I didn't challenge you to a duel, Thalixa said, breaking the silence. That's how it was done in the old days. Jack gave her a sideways glance. Well, thank you for not stabbing me. Yet, Varel smiled gently, you must forgive her. She follows tradition, but her heart is good. I'll believe. That when she stops looking at me like I'm a wild animal? Jack said. Thalixa turned her head toward him. Animals fight. You just talk, Jack chuckled. Then let me talk my way out of dying. Later that day, the sisters explained the next step. To be accepted as a royal bondmate, Jack would need to complete 3 Netherian compatibility trials. These were ancient tests meant to prove a future leader's strength, mind, and honor. Trial 1, Thalixa said, is the trial of endurance. You'll complete an obstacle course under Netherian gravity, twice Earth's pull. It will test your body. Trial 2, Varel added, is the trial of insight. A debate in front of the High Circle. You'll face political questions. And solve a diplomatic problem, Jack raised an eyebrow. And the third? Trial of unity, Varel said. A joint command mission. You and Thalixa must work together. Thalixa looked like she hated that part, Jack sighed. So I need to survive a fitness challenge, outsmart alien scholars, and co-lead a military mission with someone who'd rather throw me out an airlock? Thalixa smiled for the first time. Now you understand. Trial 1, endurance the next. Morning, Jack stepped into the Netherian training dome, wearing a pressure suit built for double gravity. His bones already ached from walking on the ship. The course ahead looked like something from a nightmare, spinning walls, fire pits, vertical climbs, and narrow ledges over acid pools. Thalixa stood at the control booth, arms folded, watching. Begin, she shouted. Jack ran forward. The first hurdle was a spinning tunnel. He barely made it through without falling. Then came a wall of fire jets. He rolled under them, singeing his sleeve. A high jump followed, impossible on Earth but barely doable here. Pain burned through his legs and arms. He slipped once, nearly fell twice, but he kept going. Sweat poured from his body, but he gritted his teeth and finished the course. Collapsing at the end, Thalixa walked over and offered him water. You're slow, Jack drank, breathing hard, but I didn't quit. She looked at him, then gave a small nod. Trial 2, insight 2 days later. Jack stood inside the golden chamber of the High Circle. 12 Netherian elders sat in floating chairs, their eyes glowing with ancient knowledge. Ambassador Halstead, said the head elder, you must answer 3 questions of diplomacy. Fail, and your bond will be rejected. First question, if Earth is attacked, and Netheria is neutral, how do you respond? Jack replied, we build peace, but we don't beg for safety. If needed, we defend ourselves and our allies. Second question. If Netheria demands Earth follow royal law, do you force it? No, Jack said. We follow laws only by choice, not by force. But I will work to find common ground. Final question. If both sides wish different futures, whose voice matters more? Jack looked around the chamber. Both matter. But sometimes the best future is one no one imagined until both sides listened. Silence followed. Then the head elder smiled. Accepted. Trial 3. Unity. Jack thought the first 2 trials were hard. But the last one? That was dangerous. He and Thalixa boarded a small military ship for a test mission. The goal: rescue a damaged Netherian cargo vessel caught in a gravity storm. I take command, Thalixa said as they entered orbit. You follow, Jack nodded. No problem, General. But as they approached the storm, things went wrong. The ship was breaking apart faster than expected. The escape pods were jammed. Time was running out. Jack looked at the data and spoke fast. We can't pull them out directly. The storm will crush us both. But if we create a shockwave using our fuel cells, we can push the broken ship toward the edge. Thalixa shook her head. Too risky. Too slow, and they all die, Jack said. She stared at him, then growled. Fine, your plan. I'll fly, you trigger the blast. Working together, they pulled it off. The shockwave launched the broken ship out of the storm just in time. The crew was saved. No lives lost. Back aboard their ship, Thalixa looked at Jack differently. You surprised me, she said. You helped. He replied. She smiled, a real one this time. Back on Netheria, Prime Jack stood before the Netherian throne. Both sisters stood beside him, each holding one of his arms. The high circle gathered again. You have passed the trials, the head elder said. You are now recognized as a full bondmate. But before the ceremony could finish, an old Netherian senator stood up, Vorzel, known for his hatred of humans. This cannot stand, he shouted. This Terran has cheated our traditions. He manipulated the princesses and used loopholes to gain power. The chamber grew loud. Varel stepped forward. Vorzel, you dishonor this house. He ignored her. I move to block the bond and charge this human with cultural sabotage? Thalixa stepped forward, hand on her sword. If you dare touch him, you will answer to me. But Vorzel wasn't alone. More senators stood behind him. Jack stepped up, calm but firm. I accepted your rules. I passed your trials. If you deny me now, you deny your own laws. The head elder looked worried. We must pause the ceremony. A tribunal will decide in one cycle, Jack sighed. Just when he thought it was over. It was just beginning again. Netheria Prime was a planet of beauty and balance, glowing towers, floating gardens, and skies filled with peaceful ships. But today, a storm was coming. Commander Jack Halstead stood in the middle of the royal court, his hands behind his back, his face calm. Beside him stood Princes Varel and General Thalixa, both tense. Around them, the high circle and senators watched in silence. The trial was over. Jack had passed the 3 great tests of body, mind, and teamwork. But now, everything was at risk again. Senator Vorzel, an elder Netherian known for his cold heart and strong voice, had stood up in court 2 days ago and accused Jack of cultural sabotage. Humans do not belong in our bloodline. Vorzel shouted now. He has tricked our princesses and twisted our traditions. That's a lie, Thalixa said, her eyes burning with rage. He earned our respect, Varel added. He followed every rule. Then why do our people riot in the streets? Vorzel replied. They do not accept this human. The High Elder raised a hand. Enough, the tribunal will decide. Until then, the bond is paused. Jack didn't speak. He could feel the anger in the air, not just in the court, but across the whole planet. News broadcasts were calling him a Terran invader. Some called him hero, others parasite. That night, Jack sat alone on a garden balcony. The twin moons of Netheria glowed above. He thought about Earth, the clean wind of open plains, the blue oceans, and the sound of his niece's laughter. He missed it. He missed home, Footsteps broke his thoughts. Thalixa walked over and sat beside him. She wore no armor tonight, only a plain dark tunic. Her glowing markings were dim, her face thoughtful. "You should be angry," Jack said quietly. "I am," she replied. "Not just at Vorzel. At me. I didn't know your customs. I've caused chaos." "You didn't cause it," Thalixa said. "You revealed it. Our system was already broken. People were afraid of change. You just showed them it was possible." Jack looked at her. "Do you still think I'm a mistake?" Thalixa met his eyes. "I did, but now—" "I think you're a challenge, and I like challenges," he smiled. That almost sounded like a compliment. "Don't get used to it," she said, standing. "We have a bigger problem now." The next morning, Varel called an emergency meeting in the Royal Strategy Chamber. She looked worried. "Someone tried to poison my advisor last night," she said. "And our outer defense satellites were hacked." "Hacked?" Jack asked. "By who?" Thalixa brought up a hologram. It showed a Netherian warship hidden on the edge of the system. It was old and illegal. "That's the Blade of Silence," Thalixa said. "A dreadnought decommissioned years ago. Someone brought it back online." Varel's voice was sharp. "It's loaded with AI weapons, and it's heading toward Earth." Jack stood quickly. "Why?" Thalixa answered. "To frame you, to show Earth as a threat. If it attacks your world, Vorzel can claim the bond failed and start a war." Jack's fists clenched. "We have to stop it." "But the tribunal," Varel began. "Forget the tribunal," Jack said. "If Earth burns, this alliance dies anyway." Thalixa looked at him with new respect. "Then we go now." The mission begins a few hours later. Jack, Thalixa, and a mixed crew of humans and Netherians boarded the royal flagship Lightbreaker. It was faster than anything Earth had, sleek and built for war. Inside the command deck, Jack and Thalixa stood side by side. "I'll handle ship command," she said. "You handle strategy." "Deal," Jack said. "Let's catch a ghost ship." They jumped into hyperspace. It would take 2 hours to reach the Blade of Silence. In that time they planned. "We can't fire directly," Jack said. "It'll trigger its AI defense." "So what do you suggest?" asked the pilot. "We get inside," Jack said, "and shut it down manually." "Suicide," said the pilot. Thalixa smiled. "My favorite kind of mission." Boarding the beast, the Blade of Silence drifted like a sleeping monster, black and silent, with red lights glowing from its eyes. As Lightbreaker approached, it didn't fire. "Strange," Thalixa whispered. Jack, Thalixa, and a strike team flew over in stealth pods. They landed on the outer hull and used plasma cutters to enter. Inside, it was dark. Machines hummed. No crew. Only the eye. They moved slowly down corridors, through engine rooms, toward the command core. Suddenly, a voice echoed around them. "Intruders detected, initiating defense mode." The lights turned red. Laser turrets popped from the walls. The air grew hot. "Move!" Jack shouted. They ran, dodged blasts, and returned fire. 2 Netherian guards went down, stunned. But the rest pushed forward. Finally, they reached the AI core, a giant black sphere with glowing code. "Now what?" Thalixa asked. Jack reached into his bag and pulled out something small, a human-made data spike. "I give it feelings," he said. He jammed the spike into the AI port. The machine screamed, not in sound, but in pulses of light and raw energy. "What did you do?" Thalixa asked. "I uploaded a paradox loop. I told it that both sides want peace. That war equals failure. I confused it with love letters, peace, talks, and baby pictures." The AI buzzed violently. Error, logic overload. Then silence. The red lights turned off. They had one. The return and revelation back on Netheria Prime. News spread fast. Human saves Earth from rogue dreadnought. Bondmate defends both worlds. Princesses stand united. The tribunal no longer mattered. The people cheered in the streets. Statues of war heroes were decorated with Terran and Netherian flags. Jack stood again before the high circle, but this time he was not just a guest. "You stopped a war," the head elder said. "You protected both blood and peace." Vorzel was nowhere to be seen. He had fled the planet. The elder continued. We no longer question your place here. You are one of us now, Varel stepped forward. We offer you the bond, not as duty, but as choice, Thalixa added. Jack looked at both sisters. I didn't come for power. I came to build something real. If this is how we start peace, then I accept on my terms. The elder smiled. Speak them. We lead together. Jack said, all three of us. Not as husband and wives, but as allies, as leaders. The crowd erupted in cheers. That night, as fireworks lit the skies of Netheria Prime, Jack stood on the palace balcony with Varel and Thalixa. You changed everything, Varel said softly. No, Jack replied. We did it together, Thalixa raised a glass, to the bond. To unity, Jack said, and above them the stars kept shining, brighter than ever before. It had been 3 months since Jack Halstead stopped the rogue dreadnought and accepted the royal bond. The Netherian people had slowly accepted him, not just as a strange outsider, but as something more, a symbol of change. He stood beside Princes Varel and General Thalixa as part of the Tri-Crown Council, a new form of leadership the Empire had never seen before. 1 human, 2 Netherians, and 1 shared future. But peace never lasted long, not in the stars. Strange signals. Late one evening, Jack sat in the royal war room studying new star charts. The air smelled like hot plasma and old ink from ancient scrolls. He was alone until Thalixa walked in holding a data tablet. There's a problem, she said. Jack leaned forward. Big or small? Big. A deep space station we share with 3 other species, the Unity Outpost, has gone silent. Silent how? No messages, no signals, no patrols returning, just ... silence. Jack frowned. That's near the edge of the null sector, isn't it? Thalixa nodded. A dead zone. Nothing lives there. Not even light travels easily. Jack stood. We need to go. The mission the next day, Lightbreaker launched once again. Varel remained on Netheria Prime to keep the council running, while Jack and Thalixa led a special team to investigate the outpost. Their crew was small, 6 Netherian soldiers, 2 Terran engineers, and 1 diplomatic android named Solon. Jack didn't trust Solon, not because it was a machine, but because it always smiled. As they reached the edge of the null sector, they saw it, the Unity Outpost, a massive structure floating near a black rift in space. Lights were off. No movement. Alexa's voice was tense. Something's wrong, Jack nodded. We suit up, we go in. No one goes alone. Inside the outpost, the station's airlock hissed open. The air inside was stale, like old copper. Jack, Thalixa, and 2 soldiers entered carefully. Everything looked untouched, but too clean. No blood, no battle, just empty. They reached the main command deck. Screens were off. A Terran coffee mug still sat on a desk. Suddenly, one of the screens flickered. Solon, still on the ship, patched into the station. I've restored partial power. It said through their COMS. Then the screen lit up, showing a final log entry. An Netherian officer appeared, terrified. They came from the rift, not ships, not creatures, just shadows. And they whispered in our minds. We couldn't move. We couldn't run. The recording glitched and ended. Jack stepped back. Whispers? Shadows? That's not war. That's something else. The whispering ones before they could react. The lights went out again. Jack pulled out his flashlight. Everyone stay. Loud clunk echoed through the station. 1 soldier screamed. Then silence. Thalixa turned, weapon ready. Where is she? Scan for life. Jack shouted. But no scans worked. Then Jack heard it, faint, almost like a memory. Jack! He turned. No one was there. You don't belong. The whisper said, shut up. Jack muttered, trying to focus. They regrouped and retreated back to the docking bay. But one of the soldiers was gone. No trace. No blood. Just missing. Back aboard Lightbreaker, Jack sat down, breathing hard. Thalixa stared at him. What did you hear? Jack hesitated. My own voice, telling me to leave. Thalixa nodded. They spoke to me too. A deeper threat back on the ship. Solon ran data. What it found shocked them. These readings, Solon said, they match nothing known in the Netherian or Terran databases, but the pattern of energy looks designed. Jack raised an eyebrow. Designed by who? Thalixa leaned in. Something older than the Empire. Jack thought for a moment. You think Vorzel knew? He was afraid of change, Thalixa said. Maybe he feared something waking up. Just then the ship shook. Unknown signal incoming. The pilot said a massive shape appeared outside the window. Not metal. Not alive, but something in dash between. It wasn't a ship. It was a presence. Everyone froze. Solin's voice dropped. It is broadcasting a message. Play it, Jack said. A deep, broken voice filled the air. Your stars were never yours, your pieces borrowed. We have returned. Then the signal ended. Jack stood. We're not dealing with politics anymore. This is something else. The escape. Get us out of here. Thalixa shouted. The pilot tried, but the ship wouldn't move. It's holding us. Jack turned to Solin. Shut off external systems. Break the link. Solin acted fast. Lights flickered, engines hummed. And finally, they broke free. The ship jumped into hyperspace. Barely escaping the rift, the debate on Netheria Prime once back home, Jack and Thalixa rushed into the High Council chamber. Varel met them halfway. You? Look like you've seen a ghost, she said. Jack didn't smile. Not a ghost, something worse. They explained everything. The council listened in silence. We cannot face this alone, Varel said. We must contact the Terran Alliance, the Vexery Confederation, and even the Draxan Empire. Thalixa frowned. The Draxans tried to invade us last year. Then we show them the truth, Jack said. Because this threat doesn't care who wears a crown. The council voted that same night. A new force would be formed, the Alliance Vanguard, led by Jack, Varel, and Thalixa. Preparing for war over the next few days, ships gathered. Old enemies shook hands. Messages went out across the galaxy, but time was short. The rift near the null sector had grown, and now, more stations were falling silent. Jack stood on a balcony, looking at the stars. Thalixa walked up beside him. Still think marrying into royalty was a good idea? He laughed quietly. Ask me again after we save the galaxy, she smirked. Fair, Varel joined them, holding a data slate. First joint meeting with the other faction starts tomorrow. Jack turned to them both. Then let's give them something they've never seen before. As the stars above burned with quiet fire, the Tricrowns stood together, human and alien, bonded not just by law, but by trust, war, and hope. The darkness had spoken. Now it was humanity's turn to answer. The stars above Netheria Prime were no longer quiet. A storm was coming, not of wind, but of shadows. The old enemy, the Whispering Ones, had returned after thousands of years, rising from the black rift near the null sector. They didn't come in ships. They were darkness made real, energy and thought, fear and silence. Jack Halstead, a human from Earth, stood on the bridge of the Unity Spear, the first joint battlecruiser built by 3 empires, Netherian, Terran, and Draxan. He looked out at the thousands of allied ships floating ahead. We never expected this war, he said quietly to Thalixa, who stood beside him in silver Netherian armor. No one ever expects the end, she replied. Varel entered the bridge, her royal cloak replaced by a sleek command uniform. The Alliance Vanguard is ready, she said. Every system is watching us. They wait for our signal. Jack looked at them both. These 2 Netherian sisters, one born a warrior, one a diplomat, had once argued over him. Now they stood, united with him at the edge of the galaxy. He stepped forward. Begin transmission. The call to all across the stars, on thousands of screens. Jack's face appeared. He didn't speak like a general. He spoke like a man. My name is Jack Halstead. I'm from Earth, but I speak to you now not as a human, or a Netherian prince, or a leader of war. I speak to you as someone who loves this galaxy. He paused. There is something out there that wants to silence us, not just to destroy our bodies, but our stories, our hopes, our future. He looked into the camera, but we are not shadows. We are fire, we are music and memory and meaning. And we will not vanish quietly. He raised a fist. We fight as one. And across the galaxy, ships moved into formation, the battle of the rift at the edge of the null sector. Near the black rift, the stars were swallowed by a dark energy. From that rift came the Whispering Ones, great shapes of moving shadow, as large as space stations, glowing with strange red eyes. They didn't fire lasers. They unmade matter, turning ships into dust with a whisper, but this time, the galaxy was ready. Vanguard Fleet Alpha, fire at will, Talixa shouted. Terran warships launched EMP torpedoes. Netherian battle cruisers created light barriers. Draxan ships dove through enemy lines like metal dragons. Jack stood at the front of the command deck. Hold the center line. Use coordinated bursts. Don't give them time to think. The Whispering Ones fought back, their dark energy washing over ships, freezing systems, invading minds. A Vexery frigate twisted and exploded, lost to the void, but the Alliance didn't break. For the first time in history, all species fought as one, led by a human who had once been seen as an outsider. Into the rift. The battle above was terrible, but it wasn't enough. The rift is growing, Varel said. If it keeps expanding, we all die, even if we win this battle? Jack turned to Solon, the diplomatic android who had joined their crew months ago. Any chance we can close it? Solon paused, then said, only from the inside. You mean a suicide mission? No, Solon replied. I mean a sacrifice. Jack looked at the hologram of the rift. It was pulsing, almost alive. Prep a small ship, he said. Going in. Talixa stepped forward. No, you're not. You know I have to, Jack said. I started all of this. I have to finish it. Varel touched his arm gently. You won't return. I know. The final flight. Jack boarded a small interceptor, fast, shielded, and carrying a special Terran device, a pulse core bomb that used gravity to collapse energy fields. As he launched, Talixa and Varel stood on the deck, watching. He's a fool, Talixa whispered. No, Varel said softly. He's a hero. Jack flew straight toward the rift. Around him, ships kept fighting. Holding the shadows back, the rift grew closer, like a great screaming mouth in the sky. Jack opened a channel to everyone. This is Jack Halstead. Final message. If you hear this, tell Earth I didn't run. Tell Netheria I found a reason to stay. Tell the stars I made noise. He smiled a little. Goodbye. And he vanished into the darkness. Light from the void inside the rift. Jack saw nothing but black. His ship shook, systems screamed, the shadows whispered again, you are dust, you are a blink in the dark. He ignored them. You will forget, you will break. He held tight to the controls. You are alone. No, Jack said. I'm not. He activated the pulse core. The device charged, then silenced. A moment later, the rift pulsed and collapsed inward, sucking the shadows into itself. The sky lit up with pure white light. Every ship stopped moving, every being held their breath. Then the rift was gone, and Jack with it. The new dawn a week later. Across every planet, city, and station, people gathered. Not to mourn, but to remember. A statue was built on Earth. Jack Halstead, standing with one hand raised, not holding a weapon, but holding a torch on Netheria Prime. Talixa led a new warrior academy, training soldiers not in hate, but in courage. Varel opened the Hall of Unity, where peace treaties were signed between species that had once fought for centuries, and on the edge of known space, a small star was renamed Halstead's Flame. They said it burned brighter than any other and never went out. Epilogue. A whisper of light. Many years later, a child on Netheria asked her mother, was Jack real? Her mother smiled. Yes, she said, he was real, he was human. But he was just one person, the child said. How did he stop the darkness? Because, the mother replied, brushing the child's hair gently, sometimes one voice can silence 1,000 whispers.